me. So, I'm actually here to tell you a little story. It's the story of a personal pet project of mine that became a rather successful OWASP project over time. So, let's take a look back into the past. So, in the past, when my presenter works, there we go. You might remember that when developers wanted to learn how security vulnerabilities work in the web, you were basically stuck with server-side rendered stuff, right? So you had PHP applications, Java server pages, active server pages, and other similar technologies. Then over time there was in many applications some jQuery stuff sprinkled in, but then there was the advent of the more rich internet application type of apps, right? But those were a little bit different, and in some cases harder to actually test. So, and there was no really easy way to learn how to actually hack those. And that's basically when in 2014 I released the first version ever of the Juice Shop under that name, not OWASP yet. It was just the Juice Shop because I wanted to have a playground application for trainings to actually use. And what I will do now is basically tell you a little bit of the history, but also show you some of the newest and coolest features of the application. First things first, who has used the Juice Shop before in any capacity? Hey, who has never heard of the Juice Shop before? Okay, good. So this will cover everything, I guess. Let's see. So, my name is Björn. I'm the project lead of the now OWASP Juice Shop project, and I'm also a member in the German OWASP chapter. I'm also currently chairing the OWASP project committee, so I'm pretty busy WASP in the whole OWASP community. So let's start with the overall idea why the Juice Shop actually came into existence. So, back in around 2008, 2009, I started preparing security trainings for web developers, right? And I used as an exercise environment this little application. Who knows this? Altoro Mutual. Okay, one or two hands go up. Very good. So this was basically, let's say, a companion application by IBM to actually demonstrate features of their security tool that they sold at the time, right? So, but you could also hack that manually, and that was actually quite nice. So that was basically the first time I got in touch with intentionally broken web applications, and I adopted the idea to teach people how to hack them just manually without any tools. So, I later switched to the famous Budget Store, which was basically the companion app of the Zap security scanning tool, right? So, and this was, I mean, the previous one was like a fake bank site, but with very limited functionality. This was like a web shop, but made by someone who doesn't really care about user interfaces, right? So, it had all the necessary functionality, like you could log in, you could put stuff into your shopping basket and go to a checkout page, but that was basically it. So it was very limited in functionality, but it had several vulnerabilities, and what I liked the most, it had one hidden page where you could actually see which of the challenges you already solved, so which of the attacks you successfully did. So I used that for a while. I also took a look at a different tool or different category of tools. One example was WebGoat, which is more like a lesson-based approach to teaching security vulnerabilities, right? So you basically do different labs or different lessons on certain topics. They get harder over time. But this was not what I was envisioning for my training that I was doing, because I wanted to have a more realistic application where the developers could actually like relate to and say, okay, this could be one of our own applications actually, right? It just has much more problems, hopefully more problems than So this is why in 2014 I released the first version of the Do Shop, and this little slideshow shows roughly what it looked like. It's not from the actual version 1.0. I think it's from a slightly later version, but it still looks like it looked originally. So it was an Angular 1 application, so rich internet application type with a Node.js backend, and I basically combined my need for an exercise application for my trainings with the wish to actually learn a bit more about Node.js, because previously I was doing mostly Java development, right? And I wanted to switch, or at least add some JavaScript experience. So that was a nice combination, and this is why I created this application basically. So back in 2014, this was a complete personal pet project, I would call it, and this was the website. So ugly generated GitHub page, you could download it, but that was basically it. 2 years later, after I had presented also on the Do Shop on this basic version in different occasions, also OWASP meetups and an OWASP conference, I basically submitted it as a project to the OWASP Foundation. It was accepted. So in 2016, Do Shop became an incubator project, but it was already a working, existing, fully usable application. So it got relatively quickly promoted into lab status, and in 2018 it was even promoted to flagship, which it still is right now. And here you see the difference. So this is today's website of the Do Shop. So in the current OWASP design, this was back in the media wiki days. So I don't miss those, to be honest. This is nicer. Okay. You might ask yourself, or maybe you don't, but why is it called Do Shop? Well, it's a little word play, because in German there's a word Saftladen, which describes a terrible shop, right? A terrible place to be. And if you split this up into Saft and Laden, then you end up with juice and shop, and then this is how the name came to be. And I'm always saying this, and nobody believes me. It was really just purely by accident that Juice Shop JS has the same initials like JavaScript, right? That wasn't planned. But when I noticed this, I actually quite quickly replaced the original logo of the Do Shop, which was this thingy, just what I found when I googled juice and I think it's the representation on Wikipedia for orange juice or something. I replaced this with, or I had the idea to have an actual logo, which is the one in the middle. And nicely enough, a designer at the company where I work actually made the first version. And 2 years later, and since then, we use an upgraded version of the logo, which I think still looks quite nice. And you might have noticed there were stickers at the tables for you to pick up. If you didn't get one, you can come to me later. I still have a few. I love stickers, to be honest. But most people know that. Okay, so what's the main purpose of the Do Shop? Like I said, it's teaching people web vulnerabilities and letting them explore them. When the Do Shop was released in 2014, it had 23 different hacking challenges, mostly of the cross-site scripting, SQL injection, some access control issues, and some information leakage type. So it was pretty limited, but it was already something, right? And for my trainings, that was sufficient. Right now, current release of the Do Shop has 106 hacking challenges, split across a ton of different categories. Not only OWASP top 10 things, but also all kinds of other stuff. So that's why I proudly also have written in the Twitter account of the Do Shop that it's 100% in compliant with the OWASP top 10, and not only the current one, but also basically all previous ones. I think it doesn't have a buffer overflow, but I think that's hard to do with Node.js actually. But if someone has an idea to do that, just get in touch and we can figure this out. When the juice shop was released, you saw it also in the slideshow already, it had challenges split on across 3 difficulty levels. So the idea was to have easy, medium, hard challenges to do. With the ever-growing number of challenges, this wasn't enough, right? Because at some point, especially the hard challenges, there were hard ones, and then there were more or less impossible ones, and we had to somehow distinguish them. So the juice shop now has 6 difficulty levels since 2018 already, right? So that was basically the first way how we distinguished the challenges, right? So they were only grouped by difficulty level, but nothing else. 2019, we added categories, right? Because we wanted to allow users to actually filter, for example, for only cross-site scripting because they're interested in those, right? And then you just have the 5-6 challenges in one list. You get some information on the scoreboard how to actually approach them, and then you can do that. And then you can switch to the next category. And if you consider you would have always 106 completely mixed challenges open, it's pretty hard to actually find out what you do. 2021, we added something completely new to the juice shop, which is the coding challenges. They work like this. So some of the hacking challenges, when you solve them, you basically enable an additional button on the scoreboard, and when you click it, you get the actual code snippet from the juice shop being shown that is responsible for the vulnerability that you just exploited. Right? Not some fake code snippet, but the actual source code pulled from the running server, basically. That is being displayed, and you have to find the right line or multiple lines where the problem is coming from, right? When you successfully do that, you then get some options displayed how you might want to fix this. We first considered doing a code editor where you can basically fix the code really yourself, but that is terrible to get into a stable mode, right? So we went for the easier way. You get 4 or 5 different options. You pick one, you submit it, and if it's wrong, you get an explanation why it was wrong, and you can basically try that until you find the right solution. And by that, you learn how you actually avoid some security vulnerabilities. So all in all, the 31 coding challenges, 106 for hacking, over 130 things to do in the juice shop currently. So I mentioned it already, and you've seen it in the screenshots. So the juice shop displays everything that you can do, and also how far you already solved it on its scoreboard, right? And this is the scoreboard that you would see when you launch the juice shop in the current version or in any previous up to version 15, so to speak. Lots of information, tabular layout, too many buttons, too small text, too many filters, and everything is quite confusing, right? So it actually grew into a little bit of a mess. That's why we decided to throw it away and write a completely new one. So this is the new scoreboard, which uses a tile-based layout. It's infinitely faster than the old one, so the loading time is like it's instantly there. The filters work instantly. The filters are basically just visible in the scoreboard URL, so you don't have any cookie shenanigans going on or anything. You can share links with others with the filter settings and everything. So it's really a nice way to actually now explore the different challenges, right? You have a proper search that also takes into account the description of the challenge and not only the name, etc. So this is really nice. It is already available in the current version 15. You just have to, on the old scoreboard, you will find a banner saying, hey, please try out the new one. You just click it, and then you can also set it as the default. With version 16 that is coming out soon, this will be flipped, right? So then the new one is the default, but if you really want, you can switch back to the old one. If you plan to do that, please contact me and tell me why, right? Because I see no good reason to spend valuable time waiting for the old scoreboard to load. And with the next major version, we will throw out the old one completely. So don't get too attached to it, even if you still want to use it. It will be gone at some point. Okay. So stepping away a little bit from the hacking part and from the challenges and everything, JuShop also has some other nice features. So first of all, like already mentioned, it's a realistic fake web shop, right? Not 100% realistic, but reasonably realistic, I would say. So you can do stuff like get a deluxe membership for cheaper deliveries. You can have two-factor authentication enabled. That actually works. You can post photos of your purchases. You can do all kinds of things that you would expect from a proper application. We even have a chatbot that you can nicely ask, for example, for coupon codes, and it will probably not give you any. And one of the hacking challenges is to bully the chatbot into actually giving you a damn coupon. But don't expect some crazy AI, LLM, whatever stuff in the background. It's a bit simpler still. So for beginners, the JuShop also has something we call hacking instructors. So some of the challenges come with a little button where you can launch a script where this cute little juicy bot actually explains to you how a certain challenge, how the challenge actually works, right? So it's basically guiding you step by step through the challenge. With some hints, it will then wait for specific input that you make and other things to happen, and it will then gradually help you solve the challenge. This is available, I think, for somewhere between 9 and 12, I think, challenges of the easier categories, right? You can optionally, if you want, even run the JuShop in a mode where you are only allowed to do the tutorial challenges first, and only when they all are solved, then the full scoreboard is basically revealed, right, and available. To make it a bit more easily accessible, because it can be overwhelming if you have the full list of challenges on the scoreboard immediately. JuShop is also coming with built-in support for CTFs. So you can run it in a mode where the success notifications when you solve the challenge contain a flag code, right? Now what to do with that flag code? Well, you have to, of course, set up some CTF server to track the score for the teams, and you have to map those flag codes to the different hacking challenges. That is, of course, not fun to set up manually, which is why we have a little command line tool that will help you do that for 3 popular CTF servers, which are open source, right? So you can essentially just run the script and answer a few questions. For example, if you want hints to be paid or free, and what the CTF key for generating the flags should be, etc. You just answer these questions, click a button, and then you get a data dump generated for the chosen CTF server. And there you can just import it, and then you have 106 challenges on your score server effective immediately, right? And they will then match the flag codes from the JuShop that it emits. While we are talking about hosting events with the JuShop with multiple participants, be it a CTF or just a training or lecture or whatever, there's a side project, which is now even an official side project under the JuShop GitHub organization, called MultiJuicer. So you see the logo right here. And this is basically a Kubernetes cluster, which comes with its own custom load balancer, an internal scoreboard for comparing progress of the different instances. And you can quite quickly fire it up with the instructions we have for all kinds of cloud providers that you can imagine, right? So It's pretty straightforward, quite easy to administrate. It allows teams to play together. You can also have individual participants, no problem. It's quite stable and reliable. I use it personally as well in trainings in my company with 30, 40 participants in trainings, and it didn't crash yet. Sometimes an instance might die because someone is hacking it too intensely, but then it just fires up again, and the DoShop has an internal progress restore mechanism that will actually survive a server crash, right? But wait, there's more. You can completely rebrand the DoShop to your personal liking. So you can change the color scheme, you can change the complete product inventory, you can change the default email addresses of all users which are being registered, you can change the logo, the title, the cookie banner text and colors, essentially everything. You can more or less create your complete own visual representation of some web shop. Why do we have this feature? Because it turns out that if you want to use the DoShop in awareness trainings, it doesn't work as well as when you use it with developers for hacking. Because developers, or let's say technical people in general, they respond quite well to this funny juice shop stuff, right? And they can relate to that and work with that. If you do a presentation to managers, it's much more helpful if the application you're showing to demo some vulnerabilities looks like something they know, right? So it has the same color scheme like in their company, used in their company, for example. That's why we basically have this feature. The DoShop will also, on startup, verify if your custom configuration is valid or if it would break any of the hacking challenges, because you might be missing some needed products or stuff, things like this. So you cannot really create an invalid one. Behind the scenes, also still relatively new, DoShop has built-in cheat detection. So what it will do?
Cheating's the name of the game.
Yeah, I know. And so what it does, it's not as sophisticated as it might sound, but it might look. So it takes the time that you spend between two hacking challenges, right? And depending on the challenge difficulty, and if the challenges you solved after each other have some relationship or are somehow connected, it will assume if you have cheated maybe a little bit or not, right? So it's basically only useful for complete first users of the DoShop. So if you've ever solved a few challenges and you're really fast with them, you probably get a relatively high cheat score, first of all. But for newcomers, this works quite nicely. So when I run the automated test suites for the DoShop, it's finished. That instance typically has a total cheat score of like between 85 and 90%. So pretty safe to actually spot real cheaters. If you're interested in the progress of students or training participants, for example, you can let them start via multi-juicer their instances with a solution webhook being pushed in, being injected. And then whenever a challenge in this instance is solved, this webhook will be called with that payload, and then you can act on that if you want. Multi-juicer itself, for example, uses the webhook to update its own cross-team scoreboard, right? Obviously, you also want to know a little bit about your DoShop, right? As an operator, which is why we have a template for a Grafana dashboard that shows you here on the top. It shows you some statistics about the challenges, but also, of course, the usual memory CPU usage. and some business KPIs, right? Like how much money is in all user wallets combined, or how many orders have been performed. So this is also part of the project, so you can just set it up quite easily with the available Prometheus endpoint that the GitHub has. Fun fact, under my desk at home, there's a Raspberry Pi running 24/7, monitoring the demo instance of the Juice Shop on the internet. And whenever I look at the hacking progress, I'm always surprised how many hacking challenges are solved. Because in the README of the Juice Shop, it clearly says that you shouldn't use this public instance for playing around and hacking, right? So it's only for looking, not for, but it's hosted in a way that it restarts when someone breaks it. So it's okay. I won't sue anyone. So all the stuff that I mentioned here is explained in great detail and much better in our official companion guide. So this allows you to learn everything you want to know in detail, how to set up all these things. Okay, just very quickly some technology topics. So as I mentioned, Juice Shop started as an Angular 1 application, right? It was always with a Node backend, and the database was just a file-based SQLite DB. And it's still like that. On the front end, we now have Angular 15. It's still Node.js in the middle, and it's still just a SQLite file. Why do we do it like this? Because this allows the Juice Shop to run in one single Docker image. There's no need to run Docker Compose or any other multiple containers to host it. One image, trivial to start. And also trivial to recover when something breaks. So it runs everywhere, essentially, I would say. Also, okay, I have to correct that. So it doesn't run very well if you run it on Kali Linux and you try to do it directly with Node.js. Those two don't work well together. So if you're using Kali Linux, please directly try it with Docker and don't open GitHub tickets asking for how to set it up with Node.js directly. This will not work on Kali properly. Okay, so this is the team behind the Juice Shop. So Timo is basically the colleague who invented this whole customization feature. Shubham is our last year's Google Summer of Code participant who completely rewrote our end-to-end test suite last year. Yannick is the person we have to thank for the new scoreboard because he implemented that completely on his own. And yeah, I just basically do the cleanup stuff and maintenance, but for some reason I also have like 88% of all commits in the repository still. Also, not to forget, translators are also quite important. So you can have Juice Shop in many different languages. We are always happy if someone helps out with this. We are happy to also receive contributions in form of code. We have issue labels which help you to find stuff which is quite easy for beginners. And if you actually contribute to the Juice Shop, then for your first merge pull request, if you send me your address, then you will basically get some free stickers. You also got free stickers for attending conference. So you can get more free stickers if you submit a pull request. So, Juice Shop's popularity, as you can see, was rising. It especially rose at the point in time when it joined OWASP. And then it had this little funny jump here. And I leave this as a riddle for you why that actually happened. So this is my favorite slide, second favorite slide of the whole presentation. It just shows some interesting statistics, I would say. Especially the fact that Juice Shop has been downloaded from Docker Hub 81 million times by now. I really cannot imagine that this was all on purpose, right? There must be some accidental pulls under those. So last couple slides. So since 2018, we have an official project, Pet, which is our cat at home. And she actually became part of one of the many social stalking challenges the Juice Shop has, because you can reset one of my accounts in the Juice Shop, so the password of one of the accounts, by typing in her name. And finding out her name is basically one of the hacking challenges. Quick question, who was at the Benelux Days for 2018? Do you remember that I did a demo there where I registered exactly that user account with that password reset secret question? See? So as that was recorded, this is basically the attack path for the social stalking challenge, right? So we have to find out that there's this video, and maybe by now also some other internet resources where I leaked our cat's name. And if you watch the right place in the video, you learn, okay, the cat's name is I won't tell, right? I don't want to make it too easy. I can confirm this, but this video is actually the top 15 on the whole OWASP channel, which has 1,200 videos actually. The Juice Shop also has its own jingle. We don't have the time to play it, but check it out yourself. We can then maybe sing it afterwards together. So the Juice Shop doesn't have its own choir yet. So this is not a joke, right? So I mean, this started as a joke, but this actually became an almost 3-minute real song with acoustic guitar music and everything. So from a professional musician. So who did this for fun? And it has like 100,000 plays. And I'm pretty sure that was always real people listening to it, and that the fact that it's also opened in our test suite doesn't count, because I'm sure SoundCloud would notice something like this and filter this. Juice Shop is a heavy participant in Google Summer of Code under the OWASP umbrella. So we already we are 6 years now in the Google Summer of Code. This year actually, we had 2 students. One student created a handful of really nice, really difficult Web3 challenges. So from stealing some NFTs over exploiting some smart contracts, which we have also heard something about today. So remember the term re-entrancy attack, and you will be able to solve one of the Juice Shop challenges. And the second student actually completely migrated our companion guide from an old Git book markdown stack to ASCII doc Antora, which looks much nicer. It's kind of the same stack that I think the OWASP cheat sheets also use. It's nice because you can search properly in it. You can publish different versions at the same time. The navigation is really good, and the PDF export also looks really nice, even on ebook readers. So very, very good thing that we actually did this. Okay, so coming to the end, the project roadmap. Next year in October we will have our 10th anniversary, and we are collecting crazy ideas to actually do for that occasion. Just to give one example what I mean with crazy. So we considered to have the old Juice Shop version 1 being executable from within the current Juice Shop, so that you basically can play the old Juice Shop in the new Juice Shop. Another idea we had is to have some case in the form of the Juice Shop logo made from Lego bricks, where you can put in like a cluster of Raspberry Pis and networking stuff, so that you can basically bring a Lego thingy, put it on the desk, plug it into a socket, and then basically have a full-blown multi-juicer setup for training. Yeah, we don't, wait. Don't clap too early. We don't have that yet. It's an idea. So if there's any Lego buffs here, please get in touch. So then there's some technical stuff, and last but not least, I would really love to sell more of the official JuShop NFTs. Yes, those really exist, and they are currently on sale for something between 20 cent to 80 cent per piece, I think. So now is the time to get your own JuShop NFT. That's it. But of course, it's not the end for the JuShop, but I'm done with the presentation part and happy for questions, if we have any.
Are there any questions? Not really a question, more of a crazy idea for the 10th anniversary, perhaps.
Yeah, sure.
It has enough gamification, so to speak. Why not publish it on Steam with some badges and some point systems and so?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Fun fact. At this year's Gamescom in Cologne, Germany, there was someone actually doing live hacking exercises and little CTF with JuShop. But I mean, I always promised, and I stick to that JuShop will not be commercialized, right? So putting it on Steam is a little bit of a
for free on Steam, though.
Okay, I can offer you two alternatives. So there is actually in the Steam workshop 2 items which I created with the tabletop simulator or tabletop thingy tool. So I basically created online virtual versions of the OWASP Snake and Ladders game, right? So you can get those if you have tabletop simulator for free, of course. So, but putting JuShop itself into Steam, I'm not sure I really want to get involved with them too much.
Maybe Epic Games.
I'm not sure this is getting better. Any other questions or crazy ideas? Yes.
I would like to try it out the first time in our company. Would you suggest first to give a training to developers, or can they just dive in and try to hack?
I would suggest that it's easier if someone actually takes a look at it and sees how it actually works, and then either you do something like crowd hacking, so like a little bit of guided hacking of certain challenges. In the ebook, there's also a trainer's guide with information what challenges are good for such purposes or not. Also, I'm giving a training tomorrow for trainers to how to properly or effectively use the JuShop. So you can just give it to people, but I think it's easier to start when you do it in a guided way. And also, I always recommend let people, if you want to use it unguided, let them do something easier, more lesson-based first, right? So if someone has some hacking experience in general, for example, by going through some web code or security shepherd lessons, right? Then it's easier to let them loose on JuShop on their own. If you just put JuShop in front of someone who's never dealt with security topics, they might not even find the scoreboard because they don't really know what to do. Although there is a tutorial to help you find the scoreboard, right? But it's easier if you have someone to do a little bit of guidance. Okay?
Okay.